with strength like a mountain. We rise above the doubt. When together we are fearless in a world that tries to shout. It's gonna be us leading the way through the night.
Hey there, I'm Amber Laffey. I'm so glad you're here. This is a podcast for clergy women by a clergy woman. I'm a mom, a wife, a trained spiritual director, a mentor to future church leaders, and an encourager of women in ministry everywhere. My hope and prayer is that this podcast brings you encouragement and helps equip you to lead with confidence in whatever context you're serving in. You are a beloved child of God. You are enough, and you are called to serve God's people and lead the church for such a time as this. So welcome back, or welcome for the first time to the podcast. So glad you're here. And today I'm so thrilled to have a new friend with me, Reverend Allison. Welcome, Allison.
Hello. Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we can do this together. So can you start off by introducing yourself and maybe like the context you serve in, and if you want to share how long you've been a clergy person, whatever you want to share.
Absolutely. So I'm Allison LeBrun. I generally have asked my parishioners to call me Pastor Allison. I
Yes.
am in my ninth year of appointed ministry as an elder in the United Methodist Church.
Okay.
So that means the bishop has appointed me in churches right over the last 9 years. I always say before that, I did 5 years of pastoral interning at two churches, including when I was in seminary. And then I had many, many years of local church leadership before then.
Yes.
I'm I'm only 34. And so I sometimes when people say, how long have you been in ministry? It's like, it feels like all my life. Sorry.
Yes.
Uh, so yes,
Yes.
so I'm in my ninth year though of appointed ministry as an ordained elder in the United Methodist Church, and I'm currently serving in Boardman, Ohio, which is a suburb of Youngstown.
Okay.
We're a community outside Youngstown. I always say the philosophy of Boardman is build it and they will come. It's one of those suburbs as every chain store and restaurant, we're a busy, bustling area. I actually grew up one town over from here. Boardman is actually my mother's hometown and my grandparents' hometown. And so I'm in my
Mm.
third year of serving here at Boardman UMC, but it's like returning home for me. I
Yeah.
also said,
Yeah.
I don't know what else I said. I'm also a mother. Um, I have two young daughters, and a cat.
Perfect. Um, I love that. Thank you. I kind of returned home as well lately.
Yeah.
So it's a whole thing. Um,
It's mostly blessings and mostly good things. And then there's a little
yes.
bit. I play a game like who have I met who doesn't know my mother? It
Yes.
kind of actually helps. I don't have my
Yes.
maiden name, and when I run into people who know me and I don't know them because I feel like all my memories from high school I just deleted them. That's So it's 90% a
Yeah.
blessing being back kind of home and in the community you know and love and serving those people.
Yeah. Yep. It does present its own unique, not necessarily challenges, but uniqueness
Yes.
uh, to your ministry. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, also I did start asking people lately, like, how many years have you been a clergy person? Because I think a majority of us have been serving in ministry most of our lives.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's hard to put a number on years in ministry.
Yes. Well, that's one of the things those years when I was in seminary, especially, I went to Vanderbilt Divinity School, and at the time they had an amazing program called the Cal Turner Leadership Program, and it put me in a church, 10 to 12 hours a week under a mentor pastor, and it came with a scholarship and a stipend. And those 3 years formed me so much into the pastor that I am
Mm,
today. That
yeah.
like I hate to not count them sometimes when I'm saying, oh, I'm in my ninth year of ministry, as if those years didn't count. But that's why I always say I'm in my ninth year of appointed ministry, but I've been serving and interning and working at churches much longer than that.
Mm, yes. Yeah. Um, okay. And so you serve a 1 Point parish, is that right?
I do. So, Boardman is, yeah, we are still, I know at the UMC more and more people are serving multi-point charges or cooperative parishes. Boardman UMC is a single point charge. We worship in this
Nice.
beautiful historic building. It really is just our sanctuary is gorgeous. The stained glass is wonderful. It's huge. And I always get to hear, and we're going to talk a
Mhm.
little bit about, I think, I'm excited to share what's bringing me joy in ministry. But at one point, our sanctuary that fits 600, 700 people was filled. We worship now about, between online and in person, like between 100, maybe 130 on some higher Sundays. Um, and but they still they're very well they're I'm tripping over my own words. One of the great things is I think this congregation is capable of so much, and that's what's kind of bringing me
Yeah.
joy. They have the capability that a lot of churches aren't in the position with the ability to do ministry. I think when I came here, the minister before me had done a lot
Mhm.
of work getting them to a healthier place where they were ready. They hadn't quite started anything, but they were ready. So we have
Nice.
hit the ground running. I said I just started my third year in the United Methodist Church. Our years start July 1st, so it's the end of August now. So
Mhm.
I just third year, and I think about how much we've done over the past 2 years. Um, it's amazing. So they have so much farther. I know they're capable of going, and that we can go together. So thankfully, they can still support, and hopefully, we'll be able to continue to support a full-time pastor as I have hopes and dreams of working together with this congregation.
Yeah. Um, that's so good because I think it's so exciting when there's willing hearts, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And people who are ready to go and ready to like, okay, I don't know how you explain it. It's like they have this like pent up energy
Yes.
and they're ready.
Yes. I definitely I mean, there's always those like early adopters, right? I think somewhere someone who's more coached could tell you all the categories. There's the early
Yeah.
adopters, there's the followers, there's the late comers, or there's people who will never come along, right? But
Yeah.
when I first came, I encountered some of those people who were like, "Let's go, let's go," and we've been going.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. That is such a blessing.
it
Yes.
is.
So having a congregation with a willing heart and ready to
Absolutely.
go, is that your greatest joy, or is there other things
Well,
as well, or
it's
something you
within
want to
that.
talk
It's within
about?
that.
Okay.
So like I said, they were ready to do something. The church had
Mhm.
about a decade ago. This church has gone through major changes. Over a little bit over a
Mhm.
decade ago, they had um, two pastors. They had two full-time pastors. They had multiple ministry staff. And then they went through a rough patch. Well, they went down to one pastor, then they went
Mhm.
through a rough patch. They lost all their ministry staff. My predecessor came in at that point and got them on a stable foot financially. And then whatever ministries hadn't died during that rough patch, COVID kind of put the final nail in the coffin. And so,
Mhm.
while this church really is capable of so much, they kind of found themselves in a position where, um, looking back at the church they were, and they really needed to grieve that,
Mhm.
and just having lost so much and not really being sure where to go. So when I stepped in, I talked to so many people about what are your hopes and dreams, as well as what are you mourning and what are you saying goodbye and what do you miss.
Yes.
And so we jumped in. I will say that my last administrative council, we talked about how in the last 3 to 4 years, so I'm in my third year. Some of these things started near the end of my predecessor's term, but in the last 3 to 4 years, we've identified 14 ministries that are either brand new, under new leadership, like no longer pastor led, but lay led, or something like that, or resurrected, like our Christian Education Committee resurrected this year for the first time in a decade.
Mm,
And as well as, or have re-envisioned them so much that they're like brand new. Like they've always had children in Sunday school, but we've re-envisioned and reworked
mhm.
it so much. It's like a brand new ministry. So 14 ministries in 3 to 4 years that are like under new leadership, completely new, resurrected, reimagined. Um, and just that kind of momentum. And a lot of those ministries, not all of them, but a lot of them are children and family focused. So we have a
Nice.
preschool that is in our building. It's our preschool. And we hadn't worked super closely with them. So we're working on strengthening that relationship again, and also seeing them as A, our number one mission field, but B, whether or not those families ever come to church, they are our children. Um,
Mm,
and so
hmm.
we've been doing so much work around that. Like I do preschool chapel with the kids every Monday, and
Mm.
I get about 60 preschoolers, and we do about
Wow.
45 minutes of chapel together. We sing songs, we do an activity, we get our Bible story, and it is the absolute joy of my week. I say, sorry,
Um,
Sunday morning, Monday morning has you beat. It's so much fun. Um, Along that, we've started family gatherings quarterly at this church. So anyone who has any parents, grandparents, caregivers, foster parents, whoever has anyone under 18 in their home, caregivers and kids, we're gathering, we're doing fun things. Um, we're
mm,
we're having our playground is opening. Playground is a designated family seating area in the sanctuary. We are officially opening our playground September 7th, and we're going to bless that in worship. And I'm so excited
oh,
about how that's coming along and how we're expressing hospitality to families. And we're also
yeah.
launching a youth group, and it's been well over a decade since we've had a youth group. So all these things are kind of percolating, forming, happening, and
Wow.
they just bring me, it's a lot. I guess it's a lot, but they all bring me joy. Like right before I met with you, I was in our playgrounds. They're working on assembling furniture, a glider, a gate. And I was taking pictures of all the activities and toys we've bought to send to some of my colleagues. I'm just so excited. Like I bought a giant Jesus plushy stuffed animal. So all of that is bringing me joy.
That is so exciting.
It is.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I hope you send me pictures of
Oh, I
this.
absolutely will.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Okay. So it sounds like you just have a lot of energy and excitement,
I have
and new
energy for
ideas.
someone who hasn't slept through the night in 5 years. I don't know how I have so much energy, but here I am.
Yeah. I'm wondering, like, how are you caring for yourself? Because
Yes.
that can get a little overwhelming, I feel like. Even
Yeah,
it's exciting, but still like to invent and create new things and all
absolutely.
of that.
Well, I've
That
told
takes a lot of
people
energy.
it feels good. It's the last 2+ years have been hard work, but it's been generative hard work. Um,
Mm. Hmm.
and that in itself does have a reward. And yet, as I always preach
Yeah.
to myself and to my congregants, we need to rest even from good work, and because we need to rest
Yeah.
for good work, right? So I
Yeah.
truly try and practice what I preach there. I protect my Sabbath. My
Mm.
Sabbath is Friday. Saturday is my family day. Of course, sometimes funerals or this and that happens, but I really protect
Yeah.
that time. I have it in my email signature that emails sent over the weekend will be replied to the following week. Or actually say emails that
Mhm.
require a response will be replied to the following week. I say Friday is my Sabbath, Saturday is my family
Yeah.
day. I have the same thing in my cell phone voicemail. Just kind of let people know they're giving me a call. This is my time with my family. I do take my allotted vacation time, my continuing education time. I mentioned my age before, so I am 34. I've been in ministry for I've been in appointed ministry for almost a decade. And unless God decides to move in a different way in my life, currently I feel called to local church ministry. And my hope, like I said, unless the Spirit tells me otherwise, is I'm going to be in local church ministry until I retire. Um, in what, 30 years, right?
You
Uh,
know.
that's sometimes I say that and I'm like, I'll be 30 more years, or whatever. But uh, uh, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And I have to take care of myself. I have to pace myself. It is my number one priority, and my family, my well-being and my family are my number one priorities. Like I have a rule that I don't do more than 3 evenings a week out of the house, preferably not more than two, occasionally, like if I'll make that third happen. But dinner with my family is a priority, right? That time with my family is a priority. So I really do center that. I also do spiritual direction. I have a coach. I have a clergy coach.
Nice.
I do those things professionally, personally, spiritually, to take care of myself and to hold myself accountable. I also keep track of my hours, which my colleagues always yell at me. Allison, you don't need to do that. And I said, no, I'm not tracking my hours to make sure I work enough. I track my hours to make sure I don't work too much. Right? So
Yeah.
like last week was was an insane week. I'll just say that. I won't even say how many hours. But it was more than my usual. It was an insane week. I will pull back. Right? So I do that. I kind of track to bound to I don't actually even like the word balance. My spiritual director and I say like balance is like a false myth. They try and sell you about like some perfect life, some perfect balance. It's
Yes.
yes. I'm on the teeter-totter of life. So a
Yes.
teeter-totter
Yes.
is supposed to be fun. But out of all the toys on the playground, it's also one of the ones that can hurt the most too if someone drops you, one way or another. But I'm on the teeter-totter of
Yes.
life. So we know some days, some moments, some weeks I go this way and then I go this way and we go back and forth and back and forth. And to kind of realize that is just life and it's supposed to be fun. So like you might get whiplash, but it's supposed to be fun. And so I don't really strive for balance, but I do strive to recognize where I'm at the teeter-totter.
Yeah. That's incredible. Do you have like tips for women who are not good at setting those types of boundaries and
Yeah.
and taking care of themselves? Like you, Allison, we could put you on a poster for self-care and boundaries. It sounds like for clergy. Like
I
this
will
is
say,
this is a huge gift. I don't like there's not many clergy who do this. So, girl, like share
well,
share the
I
things.
always say I'm actually like working kind of against my nature because I'm an Enneagram 3, and for anyone who's into the Enneagram 3s
Yes.
are often
Yes.
like we're worried about what people think of us. We sometimes tie up our worth and our productivity, what we get done,
Yeah.
how much we get
Yep.
done. Does everyone think we're the best? Am I making something of myself? Am I successful?
Yeah.
And so I've stopped a lot and thought about, I've prayed a lot and worked a lot on what does a successful life look like for me, right?
Mm.
And a successful
hmm
life looks like one for me where I am loved by those who matter and those who I love back, my
hmm
spouse, my husband, my children. And it's one where I can live out my calling with peace and
Mm.
joy.
Mm.
Um, that is what a successful life looks like for me. So through that may change in appointment size. That may change in what I do for work. That may change. All those things could change.
hmm
But is there love? Is there peace? Is there joy? That is what
mm
success looks like. And so I set up these boundaries for myself and I hold myself accountable. Like I use a paper planner and I literally I write my hours.
Mm.
And like I said, I
Yep.
use it and I average my hours for the month and I average my hours for the year. And I set a goal for myself. I am not going to work like last year. I said my average is going to be between 40 and 45. This year I said my average is going to be, and it was like 44 last year. This year I was like, my average is going to be 38 to 40
Mm.
because, and I actually posted that online somewhere and a lot of people freaked out that I had below 40 hours posted there. And I was like, well, there's a lot we could say about that, but a lot we
Yes.
could say about that, about ideals of capitalism, productivity, and worth. But the fact of the matter is, it's about how productive am I with that time. It's about what I'm doing with that time. It's about if I aim for 38, we all know that things come up. Like I said, last week was a crazy
Yes.
week. Part of that was I had a funeral. I had some other things pop up.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
I leave room for that. If we don't leave, we fill our weeks up. We know pastors, things can change in an instant. Funerals can be added, emergencies can happen, something can come up. And if we're already running 40, 50, 45, 50 hours weeks, then we're going to kill
Yeah.
ourselves. And the fact of the matter is, if something happens to me, they'll have an interim pastor here or a new appointment in a week, right? But that's not this. But no one can replace my husband's wife, my my children's mother. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
so I just, and like I told my SPR the first time I did the intake, I said I don't do more than 3 evenings a week, preferably not two. We'll
Yeah.
make the schedule like that happen. I set up in my voicemail, I set up in my email, it's in the monthly newsletter. These are the days I take off. Like I said, so just holding myself accountable and making it very public that this is what I do. Because that's my own
Mm-hmm.
that's my accountability. That I am taking that Friday, that I am protecting my
Yeah.
family day, um, that I am taking my time, and um, I talk a lot about very publicly with my family, with my church, with my colleagues, with my friends about how I am protecting my time and how I'm taking care of
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that and being a good example for us. I love what you said about it being marathon and
Mhm.
we have to take care of ourselves.
Absolutely.
So important. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's, kind of jumping ahead, but
Yeah.
I know you always ask, what advice would you give? And this is
Yeah.
advice
Yeah.
yeah. And actually last week I talked to someone who was discerning a call and through our candidacy process, she has to talk to an elder. And so I actually got to give this advice last week.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Yes.
is you have to find your worth outside your job.
Mm,
You
okay.
have to.
Mm-hmm.
You will not last otherwise.
Mm,
And that's, again, I say this, I preach this, and I'm preaching it to myself, right?
yes.
Um, so I always say my number one, where I find my worth, number one comes from God. It comes from my
Mm-hmm.
baptism. That I am claimed as a beloved child of God, full stop, period. I am loved unconditionally. There's nothing I could ever do to diminish that. And I don't have
Mm-hmm.
to earn it. It's just there, full stop, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
is where number one, my worth and my identity comes from.
Yeah.
Number two is those I love and who love me in return. Those whose, like I said, that's my family, my best friends. Those who were in that kind of supportive, loving relationships,
Mhm.
as a mother, as a wife, as a best friend, as a daughter, as a sister, those
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah.
And then number three, which I say if I'm holding my hands up, one is up high, two is right under it, and three, and I put my hand all the way down to the ground, is, dare I say it, even my ordination and the
Mm,
church. All right. Sometimes I even phrase it in covenants. Like my first covenant was my baptismal covenant, my second covenant was my marriage covenant, and my third covenant was my ordination. And it's
mm,
down low, and that includes your average weekly attendance and what all your parishioners think of you and all this. Now it is important,
mhm.
right? I still phrase it as one of the three things, the 3 covenants I've made in my life, but it is below the others, and it has to be. So we can only ever,
Mm.
someone once said to me, you can only ever take um, a small smidgen of the praise you get from your congregants and a small smidgen of the criticism you get from your congregants, because not all that praise is coming from the right place. Sometimes they want to be on your good side, or they want to, but I do save
Mhm.
letters. I say things that when people say I've made a difference in their lives or this or that, I save those. I keep them. But not all the criticism is healthy or good or coming from a constructive place. We do need to listen to some of the criticism, right? That's how we learn. I mentioned I
Yeah.
have a file of nice cards and letters from people. I've also kept a letter from a time that I truly messed up. I said the wrong thing and I hurt someone, and I kept that
Mm.
letter too because I learned a lesson.
Mhm.
So we take part of the criticism, part of the praise, but again, at the end of the day, even how you do your job as a pastor, or you do your job as a deacon, or you do your job, your ordination, or whatever that looks like, that
Mhm.
is third to our baptismal covenant and the covenant of those we love.
Mm. I love that. Yes, that's awesome advice. Yes, thank you. And did that person feel okay about it? Or did they have
Oh,
a
the person I
strong?
gave it to? Oh yeah, she
Yeah.
loved it.
I know.
She was like, "I'm
Oh,
writing this down."
oh,
I also
good.
a couple years ago I preached at our annual conference, and this was part of my sermon, and I
Oh,
preached this with the bishop
yeah.
right behind me, and I was like, "Hey, man," I was like, "Let it be." I was like, "Yeah." So I've said it very publicly with my bishop right there, my former bishop right behind me.
Perfect. Well, I think that's a very healthy way to model it to others, like showing up as who you are. That's really bold and brave. So thank you for doing that. Um, is there a woman in scripture, or is there a story in scripture that you've kind of clung on to in your ministry, or as a pastor? Like, is there something you always go back to that you love?
Um, I sometimes joke that Moana is my
Oh, yes. Preach it. Go for it.
Moana is my biblical call story. No.
Yeah.
Um, but really, Moana. Um, in the story of Moana, she has to know who she is in
Yeah.
order to be faithful to her call.
Hmm.
There's that scene after she fails to defeat Taka, and Maui's left her, and she threw the heart of Tafiti in the ocean. Sorry,
Hmm.
spoilers, but the movie's really old now, and I've watched it 500 times. Um,
That's on you
so
if
it's
you
on you if
haven't.
you haven't seen Moana yet. If you haven't seen Moana, pause this podcast, go watch Moana, come back. Okay,
Yeah.
and her grandma comes to her and she says, Moana, do you know who you are? And
Hmm.
Moana has to sing about who she is. She has to sing about her
Hmm.
worth and her identity and the people who've helped shape them and how she knows herself. And it is only then that she realizes that she has everything she needs to follow her call. She has to know who she is and where her worth comes from to follow her call. So that's kind of the theme, right? I've been talking about. And so I've always kind of held that scene for Moana.
Hmm.
I talked about it in my ordination interviews and things like that. Like, that's my call story. It's Moana. And Moana also experienced her call at a very young age, right? She always felt this call to go to the ocean. And I
Yeah.
have always kind of felt my call in my life from a very young age. So I had to find
Hmm.
out who I was at this, even as I'm living out my call, to be centered in who you are. Um,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
yeah, more biblically, I'm a bad Protestant. In my office, I think I counted. I have like 19 or 20 depictions of Mary, the mother. So, especially the Magnificat.
Oh, yeah.
Lately, breath prayer is one of my spiritual practices, and Cole Arthur
Yes.
Riley in her book Black Liturgies, has a breath prayer, which I believe is inspired by the Magnificat, but it's bring
Mm.
down tyrants, raise up healers, and so you, you breathe, you breathe in, raise up healers. You breathe out, bring down tyrants. And that has been a breath of prayer when the anxiety of the world gets to me. And I feel
Mhm.
like that's centered in the Magnificat. And I'm just, when I breathe that prayer, again, props to, I didn't come up with that. That's Cole Arthur Riley. But when I breathe that prayer, I feel like I am praying the Magnificat, the same prayer that Mary prayed.
Mm.
But really,
Yes.
like all all female mystic saints. I know you talked to Lindsay, who's a friend of mine. She talked about Hildegard. I love
Oh,
Hildegard. Hildegard's my girl.
yes.
I
Yeah.
collect icons of female saints, but
Oh, really? That's awesome.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
you can see me. I know the podcast can't see, but I have a whole wall of that's all female saints on my wall. I collect them.
Um,
This is my wall of
sweet.
female divinity. My male icons are on the other side of my office. I have a gender segregated office, but my male saints aren't allowed on my wall of female divinity and empowerment. So I very intentionally styled that. So like it's close. When I like I can look up or people look behind me and I have female saints. I have female depictions of the divine. This is my wall of female divinity.
Mm, I love that. Oh gosh, yeah, that's awesome. I did buy the Accidental Theologians book
Uh-huh.
that I think Lindsay loves and told Karen, my friend Karen about,
Okay.
and then I was like, yes, I ordered it and I still need to
Read
read
it.
it. But have you
Is
read
it got
that
the
one?
story? I haven't read that one, but I'm gonna have to add it to my list.
It's about a few of them. I honestly I didn't even really see it. It's just about female mystics.
Oh,
That's all
I
I
need to do
read
that
them.
then because
Yeah.
I really do. I'm just in, um there's something about female mysticism that really does draw me in and speaks to me. Like in my day
Hmm.
to day, I always say like I'm a very practical person, and I feel like my job, right, part of being called as an elder in the United Methodist Church is that we are called to order,
Yeah.
and so we're called to order the life of a church. And so part of my job is to-do lists. I have 5 or 6 themed, categorized to-do lists that I make every week. I have a
Mhm.
monthly calendar and an hourly calendar day to day. I am very much like, I try and organize my life. I have to
Mhm.
attend to the order of the church, organize life of the church. Um, but there's a part of my spirit that longs for that kind of unbridled
Mhm.
ecstasy of knowing God. That is kind of
Yes.
the opposite of the order that is part of my calling, part of my point in
Mhm.
ministry. And I feel like we need that balance or maybe that teeter totter, so, right?
Yeah.
To
Yeah, for sure.
it's very easy for me to get so caught up in the order and the doing things and the rules and is everything as it should be that I can neglect my emotional, spiritual experiences of the divine. So
Mm.
the mystics remind me
Mhm.
that that is important.
Yeah, for sure.
Will call me back to step outside my brain, to step outside my to-do lists and
Mhm.
experience something that can't be put on a checklist.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. And beyond our understanding and control.
Yes. Yes. I like
Yeah.
to be in control.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so to let go of that sometimes, they're a good reminder. It's a good reminder.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I just think they're so beautifully brave and there's just so much,
Absolutely.
yeah, about their stories that still are just so we can resonate with so much
Absolutely.
now. So yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
like Hildegard, right? I think she was your podcast was women supporting women and women
Yeah.
empowering women, which I mean
Yeah.
that's what my girl that's what my girl Hildegard did, right? Like how she didn't
Yes.
allow those nuns under her care to hurt themselves as part of
Mhm.
their spiritual experiences. How she preached and led a faith that was holistic with health and
Mhm.
herbs
Yeah.
and caring for ourselves. And sometimes when I think about like women supporting women, I think of Hildegard.
I love
So
that. I need to dig into her story deeper because
yes,
I have not. So
I
that
invite
will,
you or anyone listening to this to do so.
yes. Yeah. It sounds like just what I love to hear and learn about. So Um, oh, that's so good. You kind of talked about it already about your challenges. Would
Mm.
you say that I feel like kind of what you just said of having to remind yourself, like to get into that other side of yourself?
Yes. Yes. To get
Is
into
there other, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, absolutely. Yes, to get into the other side of myself. But another of my challenges is it, and I think this is related, it's like be in the present. Right? I talked about how I'm very
Mhm.
goal oriented. And sometimes I
Yeah.
get frustrated that that me or this church or these ministries aren't several years down the line. Like I want to be right. We're in the infancy of so many amazing things.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
I want to snap my fingers and then to have mature, full running ministries. Um,
Mhm.
it doesn't work that way. And like I can be frustrated we aren't farther along. And then I have to be like, girl, you've only been here, you're just at the beginning of your third year, and you had a baby in that time, and you were gone a quarter of the year for
Yeah.
maternity leave. Like, can you give yourself some grace? Like, what would I say to a friend? I would be like, you're look at everything you've done, look at everything that's accomplished, look at these amazing people who've come alongside you. Like, you're doing great
Yeah.
work. But to myself, I say, why aren't you further? Why isn't this more developed? Why is this not going yet? Why is, and it's like,
Yeah.
so I have to check that voice, um,
Hmm.
uh, and just realize how far we've come. And yes, we have farther to go, but to not even get stuck on what we have farther to go, but to really live in the present. These are the ministries we have right now. These are the blessings we have right now. These are the leaders we
Yeah.
have right now. How can I live in the present? Which is also, I think, maybe a lesson we can learn from these mistakes. But
Mm. Yes. That is really hard. You know how you said you like to have control and have everything written out.
yes.
I started keeping a list of things that I accomplished
Oh, yeah.
because I was like, I get that way on myself, like feeling like I haven't done
Mm,
enough, or like why aren't things how I want them to be yet.
mm.
Um, and then I'm like, you know what? I need to start writing down what I did and accomplished,
That's
because
so
it's
good.
way more than we think so, like even in
My
a day, like you
my
think about
coach
all
had
the
me
things
do
you've done.
that. My coach had me do that at several points. My clergy coach. At one point, like she even had me like address like a Thanksgiving address to the congregation, like, look at everything we've done. Let's give thanks. Like, and it helps. It helps. I sometimes also I will fully admit that like like today's a Monday and today's my day I have to do my to-do list. It's in the afternoon. I haven't finished my
Mm,
to-do list yet. I'll go through and write down everything I've already done and check it off.
mm,
Like I'm not it's
I love it. Yeah, yeah,
if I do something that's not on my to-do list, I go write it down and put a check.
absolutely. That's the way it should be. Like,
Yes.
I'm with you. Because yes, there's something about, I don't know, our souls, our spirits that need to like see that check mark, or maybe it's our brain. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and like again, like I kind of like I shouldn't find my worth in that check mark, and yet
Yeah.
it's still good to know to remind myself that
Mhm.
I'm doing things.
Yeah.
Because I think especially as
Yeah.
women,
Yeah.
um, and especially sometimes in the pastoral role where maybe not everyone sees everything we're doing. Um,
Mhm.
Sometimes we feel like we have to prove ourselves. Um, so just to, yeah, sometimes we feel like we have to prove ourselves, or we have to work twice as hard, or we have to do right, which it shouldn't have to be. It's part of the patriarchal society. But it still helps, and it helps to remind ourselves that
Mhm.
we're good at what we do.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I always think too, like, uh, so much of what we do as moms, if you happen to be a mom, gets undone, and you spend all this time like folding laundry or whatever, and then a kid drops it on the way
Mhm.
to their room, and all that time you just spent
Mhm.
is instantly undone. And
Yes.
so sometimes too, I'm like, what is a quick win right now? What is a quick win?
What's
What
a
is
quick one?
something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
or
this
something
is
that can't be done.
I want to say something that's totally off topic, but it revolutionized my life. Can I
Go for it.
along with that? So, dishes are the bane of my existence.
Yes.
And I recently read How to Keep House While Drowning. And I can't even tell you who
Mhm.
it's by, but if you Google it,
Oh
How to
no.
Keep House While Drowning, it's a very small book. But one of the things she talked about is resetting the space. So I
Mhm.
hate doing dishes because no matter how many, no, I could do an hour of dishes. And tomorrow night, there's going to be an hour of dishes.
Yes.
So instead of thinking like, so I can't check it off, right? Because I'm always erasing that check mark, right? But it's to think about
Mhm.
like I am just resetting my space. I'm hitting reset
Mhm.
so that we can eat breakfast tomorrow. I'm just doing like I'm
Mhm.
just so I can eat breakfast with my family tomorrow because family meals at breakfast and dinner happen as a family. They're important.
Mhm.
So I
Yes.
hit reset. So sometimes it doesn't always help because like some nights I'll be like, I just don't want to do this. But I put on an audiobook and I go in my head. I'm like, I'm not checking something off a to-do list where I write down every single night of the week, do dishes, right? But I'm
Mhm.
resetting because mealtime with my family is important. So I'm doing dishes so that we can reset and do this again.
Mhm.
The thing that is important to me.
Yeah. Yes, that's good. That's good. Um, is there any other um tips or things, resources that have helped you in your ministry or just as a human that you want to share? I love that. I mean, I try to do something similar to
Mhm.
that, and but anything else that you
Yeah.
use that helps you out?
Um, my spouse. No.
Yes.
I couldn't like he's amazing. Shout out to Zach. Okay.
Yes. Thank
So
you. Yeah. That's
but I just not but also I know that not everyone has a partner, not everyone has a supportive partner, or maybe their partner's jobs are all these things. But really
Mhm.
I couldn't do everything I do without him. But I already said to-do list, I already said my paper planner, but
Yeah.
other things are just support. Support of
Yeah.
especially colleagues, but literally anyone who has your back and you have theirs.
Mhm. Mhm.
I have a group chat that I've been in since like 2017. Actually, ever since I entered full-time appointed ministry, I've had
Mhm.
this group chat, and there's about a dozen of us, and like it's every day. We're in there. If I
Mhm.
want people to pray for me, they are the first people I message. I pray for them. I sent them my newsletter article and I was like, "Do you have any feedback?" before I hit submit because it's about frequently asked questions about the playground and it's really important. I value feedback, or we talk about books, we talk about life with our kids, and we
Mhm.
aren't all young clergy in there. Well, we it depends on in UMC how you define young, but some people have kids who are in
Sure.
college. A lot of us who have kids who are elementary school or younger.
Mhm.
But that find your people.
Mhm.
So important. And along with that, I want to plug, I'm sure other people plugged it before, but if you're an ordained clergywoman under 40, or in the UMC if you're commissioned, which because we know we're a little different in that regard.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
highly
Yes.
recommend Young Clergy Women International. You have to like
Mhm.
apply on their website, but once you get accepted, and they have dues now, but they're minimal and they have scholarships, especially if you're a woman of color. But for clergy women under 40, Young Clergy Women International has been such an asset to me. They have
Mhm.
Facebook groups, they have a Discord now, but I can't even tell you, like, okay, a mom group on the internet that isn't toxic because of yes, because of Young Clergy Women International, I had the best, I have the best and most supportive mom group. And when I had my first kid
Mhm.
in COVID and I had
Mhm.
probably undiagnosed postpartum anxiety, no one even batted an eye at all my questions in this group. And everyone
Mhm.
who's giving you advice is a clergy woman under 40. Because I go to them for so much stuff, like why reinvent the wheel? I don't need Chat GPT. I have my Young Clergy Women International. All right, I don't need to ask Chat GPT. I ask my clergy sisters. So they're amazing, and they are for Well, go to their website and read about them. Any
Yeah.
denomination. I know that there are some non-binary members, depending on how that person identifies and if they feel comfortable in that group. Um, so they have scholarships available, especially for BIPOC women, and they're just an amazing group. And if you are ordained clergy women under 40, please seek them out.
Okay, yes, that's so important. I did when I was doing my doctoral work in my survey for clergy women, so many people mentioned that as a resource or a place where they find
Yeah.
inspiration and things. So that's
In
great.
6 years, I'll age out, but I'm hoping that some of the relationships and friendships, and also there's alumni groups apparently, so I'm hoping
Oh,
that will
there you go.
continue to be a support network.
Yeah, I'm like a few months away from 40, so that's
Well, you
not
could get in
too much.
there and then get in an alumni group.
True. I have really been blessed with
I
clergy
was gonna
women
say,
locally.
people here too as well. Yes, locally makes a
Yeah.
difference. I have a local, actually, I run a book club. I
Oh,
run a cleargy book club. With all my time and everything I've told you, I run a clergy
yes.
book club. But
Hey, listen, there's some of us, as you said, I feel like we have different sized platters, different
yeah.
sized plates.
But reading is one of those things that take care of myself and
Yeah.
fills me, and so it's important to me, right? So but I actually cold emailed. I found out there were a couple other young clergy women serving non-UMC churches locally that I hadn't met. Like, so I'm cold emailing them.
Mm.
Hi, nice to meet you, and do you want to join my book club? And so
I love that. We so badly need people like you who are brave to just ask because I know there's so many women who want to be part of a group, who are desperate for connection and
yeah.
don't feel like they can or should reach
Mhm.
out like that. So,
I can come on really strong. In college, I was the president of a female Christian sorority, and
mhm.
sometimes people were like, Allison, calm down. You come on really strong. But I think it's one of my assets. It's who God created me to
Yeah,
be.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I think whether you are an extrovert or whether you're an introvert, we are all seeking community.
Mm.
Um, so if you don't have someone like who comes on really strong, like me, cold emailing you, inviting you to be part of a clergy book club, I would still encourage whoever you are, if you're
Mhm.
seeking community, to seek it out, whether it's locally, whether you're cold emailing a colleague. What's the worst they do? Say, sorry, I'm busy. You're busy too, but
Right.
or find it online. I used to be very involved in Twitter before it like before I stuck my tongue out and pointed down before it went downhill. But like I actually through that, I'm also part of a Methodist. I'm in a Methodist group on Discord. Right. So
Mm.
there are online communities of
Mhm.
maybe denominationally based or age based or gender based for
Yeah.
just avenues of support. So I encourage you to put yourself out there because there are people who will
Yeah.
welcome you into community and into support with open arms.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for that reminder. Is there any other encouragement or things you want to mention that I forgot or we haven't touched yet before we close?
I I think we've covered a lot. I guess I said,
I
if you've been listening to this, I guess if you have any questions um about what contact, like uh uh young clergy international or the Discord, stick around, maybe comment on this post. When it's posted on Facebook or something. I'll look for. I do have a blog as well, which I post sermons and liturgies. I really love writing
Yeah.
musings. That can really like replace the traditional sermon in the worship space. So I have one on Wesleyan heritage. I have one on like Transfiguration Sunday. I have one for a covenant renewal service. And I'm taking some
Mhm.
continuing education time later in the year to write more. My goal is to eventually have one for
Mm.
every major holy day in the church year, or even I want to write
Mhm.
ones around fruit of the spirit or things like that. That can
Yeah.
work when you are just too tired to write a sermon, or
Mhm.
you aren't going to be there a Sunday and you can't get up preacher, your church doesn't want to pay a preacher, these can be lay-led. So those are on my blog, which is the Rev, Allison, Allison, at blogspot.com. So I'll just kind of plug myself for a moment there.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like I said, yeah.
I'll list it in the
That'd be
description too.
great.
So
That'd be great.
yeah.
Yeah, I write my sermons, I write call to worships, sometimes prayers of confession, things like that. Those are there, but the hymns things I write will also be there. And like I said, I'm taking taking a week off in January to hopefully even write more because I really enjoy writing those. I'm also hoping on writing one before then to do a baptism of our Lord one is my next one I plan on writing for this upcoming year. So.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay, love that.
Yeah.
And using your gifts and these things to express and be creative and all of that. I love that.
Thank you.
So, okay, thank you so much, Allison, for your time and your wisdom and encouragement. I know it's going to bless so many women today. So
thank you. And I just want to thank like I said, all the episodes I've listened to too, because I've listened to some amazing women on your podcast. So thank you.
Oh, thanks, Allison. That means a lot to me. So thank you, ladies, for being here. Share it with a friend that needs some encouragement as well. So have a great week, and we will see you and talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
With strength like a mountain, we rise above the doubt. When together we are fearless in a world that tries to shout, it's gonna be us.